Hey everyone, and welcome. So for today, I want to do some more Salesforce flow training. So yeah, let's get into it. In my previous video, which you can see here, titled How to Send Emails Using Salesforce Flow, and more specifically using the screen flow itself, we basically went over how to use the screen flow to send out an email to an open lead. And for today, I basically want to do like a spin on that, where instead of using the email action, we end up using an email alert that is, tied to either a classic email template or perhaps even a lightning email template. So just kind of like a variation on this email, or rather on this video that we made. So yeah, let's jump into it. For those that did not watch that previous video, just a very quick recap. What we ended up doing is we created a scenario in which we said that we wanted to be able to send out emails to any lead that we deemed was open. And the way we described that, or rather the way we said an email is open, lead is open, is by saying that the lead status is set to open, not contacted, and actually has an email, okay? If that's the case, then our screen flow should be able to find those lead records and then let the user create an email message, and then it would be sent out. So essentially what it looks like is we tied it to a list view button, which you can see here called Mass Email Open Leads. If I click on this, it's going to query those records and it's going to show us this screen right here. As you can see, there are 2 open leads that can be emailed out. What the user could then do is, they write an email subject and an email body, and then they just hit the send emails button, and it basically just emails that lead. And then it also, in addition to emailing people, it will then go back and update the lead status to working contacted. So it's a very simple sort of contrived example just to show, how flows work. And if we jump into the actual flow itself, you can see here, it doesn't look too complicated. I think I'll just kind of go at a very high level what this flow is doing, just in case you don't feel like watching the previous video. Although I do recommend it, and I have made a Salesforce flows playlist, which if we go back to my channel, it is right here, Salesforce flows. Highly recommend watching it. And I guess while we're at it, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down in the comment section down below. And also, if there are any suggestions or topics you want me to make videos on, also leave them down in the comment section down below. As much as I try to, I'm trying to make videos on what you guys want to see, or want to learn rather. So yeah, feel free to do that. And also, while you're at it, consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. And I guess let's get back into it. So this previous flow that we made in the previous episode, the way it works is starts off when the flow fires. The first thing it does is it grabs basically the lead records, and the condition is pretty simple. Like how I said, the status is set to open, not contacted, and that the email is not null. So, it has an email, right? And that's basically all this get record thing is doing. So it just grabs those. And then we have a decision path set up for us. If there are no open leads, then the user is just prompted with a screen that just says no open leads, and there's pretty much nothing else to do. Pretty much means that that's the end of that path. But if there are open leads, then the user is presented with another screen, essentially just showing a data table that if we click on it, you'll see here that it is going to pull the leads from that get records component. And it's essentially just going to display the full name, company, annual revenue, and email. For the rows, we just set it to view only. And here's where I made a note in the previous video. I said that, it might be possible to let the user choose which leads they want to email out. Essentially, if we were to change this configure rows option to be multiple, it basically would act like a list view, right? Where if we go back to a list view, the user could then check, which leads they might want to email out. I didn't do that in the previous video because I'm kind of lazy, but perhaps that could be the next video. I'm not really sure. Let me know if you guys would like to see that. But anyways, so this data table is going to just show the open leads that were found by that get records component, or whatever it's called. And then just a simple text and a long a long text area to capture what the user wants the email to be. Pretty simple. The button is set to send emails, simple button. From there, we have just basically a loop that's going to go through each one of those open leads. It's going to use an email action, pretty simple. The email action takes the body, or takes the text of that long text area in the previous screen, and the email subject, as well as the email from the actual lead itself. So, this is the lead we're currently iterating through in the loop. And the sender is just set to the user that triggered the flow. Once that's done, we update the status on the current lead we're iterating through to working contacted. And then at the end, as I explained in the previous video, for some reason you can't just do an update records on the record that you retrieved way up here. So the way to get around it is by adding that current record that we're iterating through to a new collection variable that we created right here called collection updated leads. And essentially, once that's done, we loop through all those records. And then at the end, after the last one has finished iterating, if we follow down the line right here, we see we have an update records action component. I always forget what they're called. Element, I think it's called element. And basically we just say update the collection updated leads that contains, the open leads that we update the status to, and just update that. Once that's done, just for some UX sake, I guess, we have a screen that just shows this message to the user. So I think it's pretty simple. It's not too complex. And yeah, like I said, feel free to watch the previous video or leave down questions in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you guys. So like I said, for today, instead of using this email action, we want to instead use email alerts, which might just give you guys some more flexibility, and perhaps your use case might lean more towards that than using an email action itself. So yeah, it's not too complex. But anyways, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just save as and then create a new flow out of this one, because I don't really feel like recreating this whole thing. The previous video was already like 30 something minutes long, so just to keep this video hopefully a bit shorter, we're going to reuse up most of the work here. So for this flow, let's call this email alert open leads or something. I always struggle with naming, but that's good enough, I guess. So let's go ahead and save this. And this is going to create a new version of that lead, of that flow that we can now go ahead and mess with. So now that we have this, let's go back to our leads here, and let's start off by just creating an emailer, or rather, let's create a classic email template first, just so you can kind of see how it works with classic and Lightning templates, because there is a difference and there's like some potential limitations. So to create a classic email template, let's go into our setup, and in the quick find, we can just search up email template, I believe it's called. Yeah, classic email template right here. Click on this, and let's just create new template right here. For now, we'll just use the text one. As you can see, there's other options, but just to keep things simple, we're going to create a text email template. Let's go ahead and call this, I guess, email open lead. And for the subject, let's just say, hey you there. And then just so we know that this came from a classic email template, we'll just put classic here. And in the email body, we can say something like, hey, and then if we wanted to address the lead's name in the email, we can go up here to where it says available merge fields. And because we're using a lead, or rather we're going to email this off to a lead, let's search for lead fields. And the one we're going to look for is probably just like a name or something. Yeah, name. And as you can see here is the merge field that we can use. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and then just paste it in the template here. And then we can say something like, I don't know, buy our stuff. And then of course we want to be nice, and we're going to say thanks. And what I want to do here is just put my signature, or rather the user's signature, that's going to essentially trigger this flow. So let's go back here and let's look for user. There should be a user fields. And the one we're going to look for again is name. So essentially the user name is the person that triggered the flow. So pretty simple email body, but I think it works. So let's go ahead and hit save on this now. And there we go. We now have created a classic email template. So the next step is for us to create the actual alert. So I'm going to type in alert in the quick find, and then we'll just click on email alerts. And we'll go ahead and create a new email alert. For this one, let's call this email open leads, like so. The object is, of course, the lead object that we want to use. So let's go ahead and select that. For the email template, this is basically just pointing to that template we had literally just created. And I don't see it here, which probably means that we didn't mark it to be available for use. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to duplicate this setup because I don't want to go back. And let's go back into our classic email templates. And let's go into the email open lead, the one that we had just created. I'm going to edit this. And we'll just check this box available for use. I'm pretty sure that's what the issue was. Once we have that done, we can go back into our email templates. And now we should be able to see the email open lead right here. So we click on it, and now it is linked to that. And here is basically where we want to define which email we want to send to. And we basically want to send to an email field. Rather, this email field is basically the email field on the actual lead itself, which we can see right here. So this right here. Basically, we want to just select that and drag it right here, basically saying that this email alert should send the email with that template to that email that's defined in that email field. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and just click save on that, and we should be good to go. So now back in our actual flow, instead of using this email action, let's go ahead and delete this. And let's go ahead and click on action again. And now let's go ahead and just start typing out. So I'm going to say email, and we have now a few more options. We want to choose the one that we had just created for our alert. So if we go back here, we see that this one is called email open leads, right? So let's basically just search for that email open leads right here. As you can see, this is an email alert. So let's click on it. And now we have an option to label it. So just call it email alert open leads. I'm making it very descriptive on purpose just so that we get the point across about what this is. Probably not necessary. The only thing it's asking us for is the record ID of that lead. So because we're currently in the for loop, let's grab the item we're currently iterating through and just grab the ID. That should be pretty much all we need to do. So grab the ID, and we're going to click on done. And that's pretty much it. Everything else stays the same. We still want to update the status to contacted working, and then, update that record at some point. So let's go ahead and click on save now, and let's debug it. I will just accept it to run as is. And as you can see here, we still have these two things. And one thing I just realized, we still have the old email and subject body that we're not really going to be using. So let's go ahead and get rid of that first, actually, just so it doesn't look so bad. Back here in the screen, I'm going to basically just click on the trash can and delete these two things, because it's not really necessary anymore. The email template takes care of that for us. So we're going to go ahead and click on done, click on save, one more time, debug, and click on run. And as you can see here, we now just see our data table with 2 leads that we can email out. Let's go ahead and click on send emails, and there we go. Email sent and lead status updated. So let's go back to our list view. Let's hit refresh. And as you can see here, these 2 leads have the status set to working contacted. And if I look at my email, I should have received an email, which I'm going to show you very quickly. As you can see here, here's the subject. Hey, you there, classic. So we know it was the classic email template. Here is the merge field of the lead, just a name. As we can see here, if I push this to the side, it is number 2 in the list view, Jeff Glimpse. There we go. Buyer stuff. Thanks. And then my name, because I was the person that initiated the flow, which is Chris Marquez, if you didn't know. So we can just ignore this because I'm basically sending an email to myself, because this is my trailhead org, and I used the same email as in the email field, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, everything looks good here. So now let's move on to using Lightning email templates, which is a little bit different. To create a Lightning email template, we don't go into setup. We click on this little app launcher icon right here, And we can just search for, I think it's called email something. Yeah, email templates. So click on that. And we'll just create a new email template by clicking this button on the top right-hand corner. Let's call this Lightning Email Open Lead, like so. No description in the folder. I'm just gonna maybe dump it in the public email templates just so it's easy to find. For the subject, we're gonna put, hey, you there again, I guess. And now we're gonna put Lightning here. So we know that it's a Lightning email template. And then here's kind of some of the limitations. So in classic email templates, we were able to use merge fields to basically grab fields off of the lead. Well, unfortunately, we can't really do that with Lightning email templates. So there's this little insert merge field button, and we only have access to the recipient and sender and organization. If we search for a name, you can clearly see here that there's a full name that can be grabbed off of the lead or the contact. But if we put it here, which is fine, I guess, so we can try this. We can say, hey, and then the name of the lead, which in this case is just called recipient. That's fine, I guess. But if we finish off the template, just to kind of show the potential issue here, I'm going to say thanks, and then again, for the other thing, I'm going to use sender, which is basically going to be my name again. So we'll use my full name here. If I click save on this, it's going to save just fine, no big deal. In order to show the issue though, let's go back into the email alert and update the template that it should use. So let's click on this. On the top right here, let's change this to Lightning so we can look for our Lightning templates. And I'm going to click on it. Everything else should be the same. Just click save right here. But now, if we go back to the first thing we have to do is we have to go back to our leads and reset some back to open, not contacted, so we can kick our flow off successfully. So I'll go ahead and reopen that one. Now, if we run our flow one more time, just to kind of get to the whole point of what the issue is, if we run it here and we click send email, we see this error message right here. If we scroll down right here on the lower right hand corner, you see this error occurred message. It says, we were unable to process the email template, and the error message is core email template rendering exception, blah, 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 this. And then it says, we don't recognize the field prefix recipient. Essentially meaning that for some reason, the system, library, whatever in place, can't pull the lead information into the recipient object or whatever it might be. Essentially, we can't use lead fields right here in this Lightning email template. And I have looked around about other ways to handle it. This is basically saying that we should use this format for the Lightning stuff, and that gave me the idea, well, maybe perhaps we can just instead of saying recipient, maybe we can just say lead or something here and click save and then retry it. But nope, that doesn't really work. So if we try it one more time, debug, and run it, we send email and we still get the same exact error message that you can see right here, that it doesn't recognize the field prefix lead. At which point I saw a Reddit post of people complaining about the same thing, and then I realized that there kind of is a similar idea open on the idea exchange. Well, this person wanted it for workflow rules and process builder, but then this person says basically right here the whole issue that Salesforce is saying go with the flow, but then email alerts break because it doesn't work with email templates. So essentially, to make a long story short, if you're going to use Lightning email templates, you can't use the merge fields from the actual record itself. So if you just get rid of this here and just save this way now, this should just work perfectly fine. If we try one more time, hit the debug button, click run, and we click send email, you see here that we did not have any issues. If we go back to our list view and we refresh, you see that the one I just sent got changed to working contacted. And if I check my email very quickly, we do indeed see that we got an email saying, hey, you there? And this is that Lightning one. And, you know, the merge field for the sender still got properly merged, but obviously the downside is we can't use those merge fields from our actual record itself, which is a bummer. Like I said, I looked around the internet for quite a while. I didn't see any viable solution, but if you happen to know of one, feel free to let me know down in the comments and I'll make a video out of it. If I do happen to find a solution, of course, I'll make another video. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I won't cover how to create a button for this flow that we just kind of updated because I did that in the previous video. So again, one more time, feel free to watch that, check out the playlist, subscribe if you found this useful, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.